And we're live. What's up, people? This is Matt Gibson. Welcome to Kingdom of Rock. Or I should say, what's up, Kingdom of Rock? That's what I usually say, isn't it, Mike?
Yes, it is. Don't go off script.
I know. Well, today I'm here with my awesome co-host, Michael Molenda, and the fabulous Orianthi. How's it going today, Ori?
Doing great. How about you guys? So good to see you guys. It really is.
Yay, we're alive.
I know, right? It's just madness. You know, keep it insane, right? That's what we're trying to do.
So you're in LA, Ori?
I am. I'm in my trippy studio here, my Lotus Jungle Room studio, where I like to create. Yes.
That is
awesome.
pretty. Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
How long did that take you to put together?
Not very long. Actually, I got my friend, and we just had to go buy a bunch of tapestries and just like hammer them to the wall and listen to Hendrix, and then put the drum kit in here. I've got my piano and very loud amplifiers and guitars around. I can kind of see around here. There's a ton of stuff going on.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Oh my God! Over there. I got anyway, a lot of stuff. It's my creative jungle room, which you gotta have your spot, where you get sort of inspired and you can shut out the world in a way.
So I would imagine you're spending a lot of time in there creating at the moment, right?
Oh yeah, and driving the neighbors crazy because I'm a frustrated drummer. So that's I've got the Quest kit here, so it's not too loud.
I live in an apartment, so my neighbors hate me.
Oh my neighbors. As I play super loud, because I like to crank up my orange amps. I use the Rockaverb Mark III, and I like to crank that. And then I have a Fender Champ, which I like to put to 10. And then I have a PRS amp, which goes on 2 or 3. It sounds like, you know what I mean? You're just like blaring it, and it's crazy. But you get sometimes, for the tones and whatnot. But I don't really get that many complaints. I should probably check on my neighbors at this point.
Yeah, I know.
How old is it?
I actually got these little Questlove, like 10-year-old drums, and they're still too loud for just about the neighbors.
You got the Questlove drum kit too.
Oh, did you get? Well, you probably got the one not for 10-year-olds.
No, I got the one.
Oh wow, no, that is the one.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, yeah. I thought this was going to be the killer app during the quarantine. It's like a little tiny drum kit. Don't bother anybody. You probably found this out the first time you hit the kick drum. It's like tons of bass all over the place.
It's great for this size kit. It really, I had full band rehearsal in this room before, and the drummer was hitting the crap out of it. It sounded good. So,
crazy.
Well, so everybody knows we're in the middle of a COVID-19 crisis called, coronavirus, and it's wrecking the music industry. It's shutting down all the venues are way shut down by now. So, Ori, how has all this affected you and your touring and music production and things like that?
A lot, because I'm about to announce the label I just I'm signing with in the next week or so, and my album was done last year with Marty Fredrickson, and some shows were cancelled. I was going to do the Dallas Guitar Festival, quite a few other shows, and then we're going to book kind of the tour situation after that and the promo. So immensely, yeah. And I was talking to my friends about it too. It's affecting everybody, but now it's just looking at ways, different ways of getting it out there. And obviously social media is a huge thing, but it's like just trying to connect with people as much as we can and be safe about it, because first and foremost, everybody's safety. I mean, you can't just be like, I want to go out and play shows. It's like, all of us are going to take care of ourselves, and we're all in this together, around the world. And I'm doing what I can with Music Cares, and I just did something with them the other day, and I'm doing quite a few charity things and trying to help out, people that are part of the crew. A lot of different musicians that are in a really bad position right now. I mean, and we're all feeling it on different levels. We really are, immensely. And so it's just, as I said, looking at different ways of sort of figuring it all out. And even if it means doing kind of shows, mini live shows from my living room, you know what I mean? So people can tune in for that. There's different platforms that are coming out now that have asked me to be a part of that streaming thing. So just staying connected as much as we can, really.
It's interesting because we've had a lot of artists and a lot of labels, artist connected labels on the show, and it's interesting how this, how to deal with releases. You know, do we wait until after summer when you can tour again? Do we release now and find a different way to market it? Have you and your label come up with a plan for, do you want to wait? Do you want to release now? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm actually having a meeting about that really soon, and we're going to go over it. But we're thinking probably just putting out a song at this point, and then the record a bit later on. That way people get, you know, maybe a song or two, you know, something like that, until it's time to put out the entire record. Because putting out an entire record right now and not being able to go and play it for people, you know, I'm just really proud of this album. I really am. And I want to go out there with my band. And I want people to hear it, you know, with that sort of, with that energy behind it. And so, yeah, probably put out a song pretty soon. But it was, as I said, I'm really happy with this record. And it's been a while since I've actually put anything out solo. So, yeah.
So what were one of the main things that you're so thrilled about? I mean, I imagine songwriting and performance, duh, but what really has got you, you know, impassioned about this new release?
It's a new sound, you know, and I made it in 28 days with my good friend, Marty Fredrickson. And he's, you know, we've known each other since I was like 20. You know, one of the first co-writes was with Marty, and then Desmond Child, these were people when I came to LA. And Marty's such a great writer and producer. So we just went in there, and it was pretty much myself, Marty, his son playing drums, and then I played bass, and then his son played bass too. And then another song was written with Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue. He wrote some lyrics for a track, and he called me up. He said, "I got these really cool lyrics," and I was like, amazing. I was like floored that, you know, me and Marty were just like blown away. Like the lyrics are really wild. So I can't wait for people to hear this track. And it's yeah, it's going to be out. I don't know. You might put out that one in a bit too. You know, I'm not too sure. We're gonna figure out which track's going to come first.
So this is 28 days starting from nothing. The writing, everything, recording, mixing took 28 days.
Yeah, well, I came in with some ideas, and I went to, because my management and most things are actually based in Nashville, so I would go over there quite a bit. And so I went over there for a couple of writing trips, and I wrote the first song, "Rescue Me," with Marty, right? And I went through this whole phase where I actually told everybody last year, the year before, that I was making a hip hop record, which I was trying to blend guitars with beats, right? And it was, you know, the idea was there, right? It didn't turn out the way that I expected, and it just sounded a little too pop. And I'm like, this is not really what I want to do. I want to go out there with it be a 3-piece band and be able to play it like Hendrix, you know, with that vibe. And I'll be able to, instead of having all these beats and things going on. But so what I did was experiment with, when we wrote the song "Rescue Me," it was really organic. It's a rock song predominantly, but it's got a bit of, I don't know, kind of voodoo blues edge to it as well, you know. So going off the last record, "Heaven in This Hell," it kind of segued into that. But then we added different layers and synths and sounds and guitar tones, and experimented with octave pedals and fuzz pedals and just different, you know what I mean? Like just like trying different layers and different guitars I used too, and just sound. Ultimately, we kind of honed in on a vibe. So I really hope people dig this as much as we enjoyed making it. But to answer your question, yeah, I came in with some ideas, you know, obviously with the first track we wrote, and then we just went from there, and everything sort of, yeah, just kind of flowed.
One housekeeping issue. Matt, are you seeing Dave Koenig says there's no audio on Facebook?
I did. I'm trying to figure out if it's Facebook or if it's us. I'm having some people are saying it's fine.
Okay.
I just opened it up on my phone and it looks to be fine. So if you guys are experiencing audio issues, there's a few options. We are broadcasting live on Twitter. Richie has audio. Okay, good. Oh, Dave has it now too. Okay, good. So it may be with all the traffic on the internet, since everyone's at home, we have been experiencing intermittent audio issues on anybody that I know that's doing live streams is having little issues like that. So, all right, everybody's fine.
Okay, we don't want anybody to miss this. So thanks, everybody.
All right. Yep. Thanks. And if you're on Twitter, just please retweet it, tell your friends, and share the Facebook if you guys don't mind. We'll get some more people over here. And so Ori, so when you make a record, do you have like a system, or is it more like a organic, just kind of falls into a order eventually, or how do you go about making a record?
It's different every time. It really is, because the last record I made, a solo record I made with Dave Stewart, a great friend of mine, we went in and we had a couple ideas and just kind of thought, oh, we're going to write the rest over in Nashville, Blackbird, and sort of hired all the musicians, had booked 8 days there, had no idea, had a couple of songs, and then just went for it in the live room and just cut it, you know what I mean? And just, I like to kind of do records like that because there's some real, to me, it's like there is pressure, but the vibe, you just kind of go off it. You just kind of just throw yourself into it. And then something really real comes out of it. You know what I mean? So you come in with concepts and ideas and starts of songs, and then you just finish them there. And that was so much fun. And other times I go in with completed demos, and with the first record I made, Believe, that was very like structured. Like I went on years of songwriting, sessions for that and made sure, and we picked, I had like hundreds of songs for that, and we went through them all, and I got songs from other songwriters, and then the label came in, and it's different with a major label, and doing things independently, as well. It's like there's less people that come into the pot to sort of tell you, oh, we like this, we hate this, we like this. But I always run it by a lot of people too that I trust and kind of go, hey, what do you think? And especially when I'm working with like Dave Stewart or Marty, if an idea is really shitty, they're gonna like probably don't work on that, So, but yeah, it's generally just, if it feels good and you're kind of excited about it, excited about playing it live, that's where it's at for me. Like I just want to, for people to obviously feel it, because it's all about like putting everything into it, whether it be lyrically. I write in my diary constantly at night. I'm always about just handwriting things, and also in my voice notes, I have like so much stuff when I'm walking down the street. When you could walk down the street, I have, I had the thing around my neck, the microphone thing, and I'd just be singing down the street, and people think I'm fucking crazy, but some ideas came out of that too, and so yeah, it's always really different.
On your new material, is it primarily songs with singing on them, or is it instrumental, or what kind of blend are you having this record?
There are no instrumentals in this record. I'm actually probably going to come out with a meditation instrumental record a bit later. I've been working with sound healing frequencies mixed with guitars and different instruments like that. So I've been doing that on the side as well. So an EP with that kind of music will be coming out a bit later on, maybe this year actually, because I've been working on that amongst other things. But this record is it's predominantly, I would say, like rock, alternative, blues, pop. That's kind of
alternative blues pop.
Okay.
Yeah. That sounds like an Orianthi record to me.
Yeah, it's got a bit of there's some crazy tones in there. I think I'm really excited. This one song is called Sinner's Hymn, and it's like really heavy, and it's cool because I'm using an octave pedal. I teamed up with Nexi Industries, and we came up with this Octava pedal, which it's just like a fuzz and an octave, and it just sounds massive. It sounds like a bass is following it. It's like for all the riffs and everything like that, it's really cool. And then plugging that through the orange, and I've been noticed that I used a couple of different guitars for this as well, predominantly PRS for the leads, but some old Fenders, Les Pauls, stuff like that, and we just sort of crank them up. So,
do you tend to like to get the song done, like the basic done, before you start experimenting with the textures, or do you kind of have, well, gee, I think I want to use an Octavia on this, or it would be great to stack up the guitars on the rhythms, or I need a really weird fuzz in here? Does that stuff come early on, or do you set aside time to be able to experiment?
It really depends, because sometimes those tones can inspire things with the song, so when you lay that whole bed down of music, with the chorus or whatever it is, and if you don't know where to go with it, sometimes sounds inspire melodies and lyrics, and just it puts you in a different realm. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like I just like to sit around and kind of, I haven't been a huge pedal person, to be honest with you. It's been like straight into the amp and a wah. And I went through a phase before with the Tees Electronics where I used everything. On my first tour, it was like literally the rack mounts, and I had like phase going, and I had everything. And that was cool for a minute, but then I lost the connection. And then so for this, it was just great to just mix things up.
Okay. But also I think it's interesting, you've got a lot of input. You've got your notebooks, you've got singing into your phone, you've got your diaries and everything else you do. It seems like, I think I'd get lost having to manage all that and figure out, what I'm going to use for the record. I mean, how do you even housekeep all that inspiration all the time?
Sometimes I feel like weird because I don't want to miss anything. You know what I mean? Like if something like way back that I recorded was really great, but I totally forgot about it. But then you know what? You can find it again for the next record. That's why I always think about that. But ultimately, I usually put like little like markings on it, or at nighttime before going into making this record and setting the studio time and everything. I sort of went through a ton of demos and different voice notes and things with Marty and kind of said, oh, this is a cool idea. We could run with this, this lyric's kind of cool. And went back and forth with like different, rough demos and sort of figured it out beforehand. Then we, as I said, went in there and just like did all the lyrics, did everything. So, yeah.
So
go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
No, this is kind of a subject change, but I wanted to bring this up because it's pretty funny, and I wanted to put this in the interview. So Ori put a post on Instagram about how to make chocolate chip cookies, and apparently somebody tried to make them and really burn them. Kenneth Moore, he said almonds burnt the chocolate chip cookies. She added weed, and that burnt first. Fire brigade outside. The fire alarms have gone off. It's only a wee bit of smoke. Cookies are what we say BTF, burnt to F. Don't let her in your kitchen. She's at the drink cabinet now. She's on the tequila slammers. Oh shit, get off that piano. Almond, haha. Anyway.
Man, he's from Scotland. Things are going strange in Scotland right now.
Freaking crazy. I didn't say to set the oven at 350. And what did he set it at? I don't even know.
Directions, Kenneth. Come on.
I forgot. I'm sorry. I didn't tell you what the heat situation. But yeah, they were only supposed to be left in for about 30 minutes. And you know what? And I put there for the children that you could just use normal dark chocolate or the magical chocolate if you live in California where everything is legal, of course. Keep it a family show.
I don't know how much of a family show this is anymore, Mike. It's gotten out of hand way too many times.
There's been considerably less profanity in this episode than we typically have. So
right,
kids are happy for that.
All right. Well, I'm sorry about that person really burned down home, but next time 350 degrees, then you're good.
You got that, Kenneth? Stay. All right. Yeah.
So now that I've disrupted the flow, Mike, go back ahead. I sounded like you had a good question coming out.
Well, it's just that, I mean, Orianthi, you've gone through such a journey, with let's just talk about soloing. And when you get to this new record now, was there anything that inspired your approach or do you even worry about things like that? Do you look at every record and go, I need to find a new way into this record?
Yeah, I mean, with the solos, the guitar solos and all this and the sounds and everything, I really honed in on them. Like I wanted to make sure that they were structured. I wanted to make sure they were different. I didn't want to do the same old thing over and over again. I didn't want to bore myself. I get bored very easily. And sometimes I fall into the thing of just playing the same thing sometimes. I do. And then I don't like it, And so with this, I was like, I'm going to try different tones. That's going to inspire a different solo. That's going to inspire me to play differently and just play outside the box. And that's kind of what happened, using whammy pedals, using, we actually used the Kemper on a couple of things too, where, it was like this no amp sound where it just was static and it's kind of cool. And it's like, really cool, like tremolo sound. So it's like people will hear it and think it's pretty wild, but it comes right out of the speakers and it's just like raw and crazy. But yeah, and honestly, you want to make solos to be like songs within songs. So you don't want to make them like, oh, it's a guitar solo, and then you know what I mean. It's like you kind of want it to be obviously melody to it, and then some shred and all that. But there's tons of guitars on this record for the people that are wondering, because I have got a lot of questions like that. Is this going to be too pop? Is going to be like, no. There's definitely a ton of guitars. So.
What were you listening to anything in particular for inspiration for this record?
Yeah, actually, I was listening to quite a bit of like from Buddy Guy to like Robert Johnson to In Excess to 9 Inch Nails and Hendrix.
That's a big spread, going from Buddy Guy to In Excess. That's an interesting one.
And then 9 Inch Nails, and then just a little bit of St. Vincent and some things that were going on that are happening right now, because I'm just trying to like, listen to stuff. The radio, for me, I love a good pop song. I really do. But when everything sounds the same, it's just like anything that just keeps on sounding the same irritates me. So I'm just like, I like to find new things that are still, commercial and poppy and catchy and everything. And I love what St. Vincent does. I think she's great. I love her. So yeah, just listening to different things that are happening too. So.
It's cool. Hey, I wanted to say, talk to a few people out here in the audience. Daniele Guitardo is watching. Kenneth Moore, Brianna Alexis, Angela Grant, a lot of guitar players watching this that I know. Mike Aguirre, Carrie Conkle, Mike Messman, Terry Vancourt. Thanks for tuning in. Tim O'Malley. Let's see. Tyler Morris is watching. Oh, Tyler said hi, by the way. And anyway, Jermaine Nixon. So thanks guys for watching. All right. So Ori, as far as the changes in California with all the venues, the governor is saying that it looks like they're not going to be opening any of these venues anytime soon. What do you think? What's your opinion about the state of live music, and what do you think are some suggestions? I mean, have you thought very deeply about what you're going to do based on the fact that these places could be closed for maybe a year or 6 months to a year,
Yeah, I mean, I just heard some terrible news this morning, actually, on Twitter. One of my favorite venues in Adelaide, Australia, is looking at actually being shut down completely because of this. They're going out of business, and there's quite a few places like that. It isn't really a small venue; it's like a medium-sized one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of businesses like that are going under, and it's just really freaking sad. I mean, and at the same time, it's like, and then as you're talking about the concert situation, for us to go out and play festivals and all this stuff. I mean, when it's safe, when everything's lifted, we've got to take care of health first and take care of ourselves first, and you can't just think, oh yeah, I'm just gonna put in a show and everyone's gonna get sick. That's not right, So as much as I want to go see shows myself because I'm a fan of music, I can't wait for that day. I really can't. And maybe that's going to be that part of the whole thing. There's going to be everyone's going to have to wear masks. Everyone's going to have to go to shows with masks on. You know what I mean? Everyone's going to have a check or maybe a piece of paper that says I'm clear from COVID to go in to these places. And maybe that's what's going to happen. Like we have the self-testing here. I've just heard about something like that. They're going to send it to all homes, so you can test yourself. So I don't know. I mean, it's just that everything's going to change immensely. I know that definitely. It's just how are we going to live after all of this and have a sense. I don't even know how we're going to interact. It's going to be so bizarre. Like when we're, able to go out there and hang out with everybody. I haven't seen my friends in forever. And I realized how much I really like people.
Right.
I like to be left alone all the time, but it's out of my own want and I need to create and all that, and then I just go out and be social and hang out. But I'm not gonna take it for, no one's gonna take it for granted now, the time that we're gonna be able to spend together after all this, because it's gonna be like, wow, we took that everything for granted, going to the store, going to see a show, going down to the guitar center to pick up something, just things like that, without the fear that we have now. It's insane. It really is.
So if you could pick one thing that you were allowed to have that you aren't currently allowed to have, a privilege, what do you miss the most about being sequestered in your home during the quarantine?
Oh God, I just before this all happened, I had 2 people over here songwriting on my couch, just like the co-writes, the hangs, my friends coming over, my band, they don't live too far, so they come over, we all just hang out and listen to music, and then just going down to Sunset Marquee, having a drink down there, hanging out with just hanging really in general. That's and then just going into a store really without like having that fear. I think everyone feels the same way.
Yeah, I'm just worried since I don't know what it's going to look like to go to like a mall in Northern California or Southern California or anywhere. How many businesses are going to be boarded up? Will Macy's still be here? I saw Neiman Marcus just filed for bankruptcy. Will the Apple store still be here? It's just going to be so weird going even in our neighborhoods. How many little restaurants will be boarded up, or shoe stores or whatever. It's going to be weird.
It's going to be super weird. I really feel for everybody. I really do. I mean, we're all, as I said, we're all feeling it in different levels and different things. And it's just walking down before when I saw all the clothing stores shutting down, where I usually walk, in smaller ones and the larger ones too. And then how are they going to reopen and people coming in and I think just masks and, gloves, and everyone's just going to be happy. Everyone's going to be really careful and mindful of everybody else, because you may feel fine. And this was the craziest thing about this whole thing, is that we may have already had it. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know. And then we pass it on to somebody else without knowing. And so the testing thing has got to happen really soon. And that's first and foremost. So we know that we're not a hazard, because I mean, I feel great, but who knows? I could have it, but I just don't show any symptoms. My friends, they feel great, but are we going to all get together and risk somebody, who has a compromised immune system, and then in danger? That, you feel awful about it. So,
well, I mean, I had flu-like symptoms in December, and I had for about a week, and I had flu-like symptoms after the NAMM show. And like, if you go to the NAMM show and you go downstairs, there are a lot of Chinese manufacturers down there. Like, my buddy was telling me that he thinks that he might have gotten it from the NAMM show, because there's so many people packed into that little area.
I got really sick, actually. I got really sick when I came back from, I think it was Nashville, or actually in December or November. And I was flying somewhere, and I got really, I've never been that sick. 4 days on the couch, just like, and I rarely get sick. Like, I pride myself on my health, like, all the time. And so I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, it's pretty wild. It's scary. And I try to refrain from watching the news all the time, because that just drives my hypochondriac OCD kind of somewhere else. It's not good.
Well,
go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, well, go ahead and ask your question, because I'm going to switch a topic. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I mean, you're such a, I think it's going to be weird for performers such as you who reach out to the fans, because looking at an audience full of people with masks on who may be a little bit paranoid and maybe not ready yet to completely let go and go crazy is a lot different than, pre-apocalypse. I mean, how we comport ourselves as performers in the new post-apocalypse is going to be interesting as well. Or do you even worry about that? And as long as people are there, you're okay?
As long as people are safe, I'm okay. Honestly, that's the main thing. And I got to say that because I'm a fan of music, and I love to play music and all of that. And I would love to go to a show, it's just like, I just want to make sure that it's like, if I'm going to put on a show or anything like that, every person that comes and buys a ticket, they're not risking their health or their life to come to that show. That's very important, because this thing is wild. Some of the stuff I'm reading about it, I'm just like, I have no idea. But if they get it under control, because, you look at it this way, it's like with the people in, the medical field that are working 24/7 on trying to find cures and trying to find different things out about it. They're on it, they're on it. And I just know with my personality type, I will sit there until I find, until I find it, whether it be like a song, whatever it is. So I know there are obviously those people in those fields that are adamantly working to try to, cure this and try to find out how to beat it. So I have faith in that. I really do.
Okay, awesome.
So Ori, you know, I'm sure there's some people out there that aren't familiar with your story. Could you tell everyone in Kingdom of Rock how you got into music and kind of how you ended up here today?
I got into music when I was about 4 years old. Started playing piano, and my grandpa, and sitting with him. And then my dad is a guitar player. He's a left-handed guitar player. So guitars around the home, big vinyl collection, Jimi Hendrix, Cream, Santana. So I picked one up when I was 6 years old. Started playing left-handed first, and then he switched me to right-handed because he said you have more choice in guitars because you get the shitty, you know, 2 or 3 left-handed ones in the store. So he turned me on to like Hendrix and Eric Clapton and B.B. King and the Beatles and Elvis and Roy Orbison. And I really just fell in love with the Beatles and Roy Orbison and Elvis first. And I started songwriting and singing when I was about 6, and used to go to, you know, school, and show and tell was me playing a song I wrote, you know, or a Beatles song. And I think, and I told my parents, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then when I was 10, I went and studied classical at a university at TAFE in Australia, which was like, you know, I passed grade 2 there with theory and sight reading, all that kind of stuff. But then my teacher wasn't too nice, and he kind of just made me just not happy about it. So I was like, I don't do this anymore. And then I went and saw, my dad took me to Dance a Rainbow Serpent concert, Carlos Santana, when I was 11. And that was a turning point for me. I was like, I want to play electric guitar. So got a secondhand PRS and didn't put it down from the old factory, the heavy ones, you know, and great, I mean, freaking amazing guitars. Obsessed with it. So grateful that my dad was able to get that for me. And I just locked myself away 5-6 hours a night, listening to Hendrix, listening to Santana, Abraxas, Cream, you know, Freddie King, Albert King, BB, all that stuff, you know, and Stevie Ray. And just really, I lived in a time warp. I would go to school to try to form a band, and everyone was like, who the hell is, you know, Santana and BB King? And listening to freaking New Kids on the Block or something. And I'm like going, you know what, guys, you all suck. So I'm going into the music room with my guitar player friends, and we just hung out, you know, and pretty much had a lot of guy friends back then, because, you know, it was just like I was in, and then also the actor friends and everyone that were just, you know, into the arts. And I was a weirdo. I was a hippie, and then I quit school when I was 15, got a management deal, joined 3 cover bands, started opening for, my first support was opening for Steve Vai when I was actually 14, and then 16 ZZ Top, and then just played around town as much as I could in Adelaide and around Australia, and then just recorded a ton, learned how to record myself, went and studied at a studio, learned how to engineer, made my record, Violet Journey, sent that out to everybody, got a ton of rejection letters, and then Jimmy Iovine signed me into Spec Records. So yeah, it's been a journey. That's kind of putting it in a box. There's a lot of other things that happened, but I'm just trying to put it in a, I don't know, 5 minutes.
And you've played with a lot of really, really influential artists, like, you know, Michael Jackson, Alice Cooper. I mean, what was your like moment where you're just kind of like, wow, I can't even believe this is happening? Was there like a point where you just started to realize that you had either made it, or you felt like you had made it, or has it just been kind of a blur?
Honestly, I never feel like I've made it. Because I never am completely satisfied with what I've done. You know what I mean? I don't look back. I'm kind of like, oh, I could do something better. And I think it's always your next song, your next record. And I never feel like we're just working. We're just trying to create here. Being an artist, you're at service to people, and putting, you know, emotions in songs and helping people, and trying to make it right. And when you find that right song, when you find that right melody or that right solo, you know, and I'm always searching for that. You know what I mean? I'm always searching to write a better song, or to play a better solo, to, you know, so I think keeping yourself in check like that is going like, yeah, sure, I've had some incredible experiences. I'm so grateful for them. I'm so freaking grateful, but I know I've worked really hard also to get those experiences, you know, for some things to happen, because I didn't give up. I didn't say, oh, I'm just going to stay in my bedroom in Adelaide and not put myself out there. Like I constantly was recording, I was constantly writing, I was constantly playing. Every opportunity to jam, I would take it. I would, get on a plane, come to NAM, demonstrate in the booth, save up for a ticket. My parents would cover it as well, and just come out and just work my ass off and play the clubs, play in 3 or 4 sets a night till 3 or 4 a.m. and getting like teeth chipped and your face gets bruised in the Aussie pubs for like 5, 6 years. And, it's a lot. And you go through all that stuff because you love it, the joy of music, and the power of it too. And there's just something that I couldn't be anything. I'd get fired from another job, I think, apart from feeding animals at a zoo. But I think that, honestly, it's something that I just live for. And honestly, for the first time I met Carlos Santana when I was 18, and he invited me to jam with him backstage in Adelaide, Australia. That moment I'll never forget, because he was the reason why I wanted to play electric. Because when he played Europa, what a beautiful melody. I mean, what an incredible song. And he just hit that opening, note. And I was like, okay, I said to my dad, I'm like, I want to learn how to play guitar because I want to be able to do something like that. And be able to move people the way that I was moved and move, move yourself as well. So, yeah, it's a magical thing. And as I said, many experiences working with Michael Jackson. That was crazy. Look back on that, and I'm friends with everybody in the band that were part of it, and dances with everybody, and we all share like incredible memories with that, amazing then tragic situation. But and then just everything that has happened, in this in my career and just life and stuff like that, working and getting a record that did really well, because I worked hard for it, didn't sleep for months, going to every radio station, playing acoustically, getting up at 4 a.m., playing the Beat It solo on a little cube amp every, I couldn't even say my name at that point, let alone play Beat It solo at 6 a.m. And then, you've got, you just do as much as you can. And if you, as I said, the drive and you just, it's relentless. You've got to be that way. Just never give up on it.
I think it's awesome that you say that, because I think sometimes, even as long as I was editor or guitar player, there's always people that forget that. I mean, you didn't just practice your guitar, you practiced engineering. You worked on your songwriting.
Yeah.
You worked on your stamina, because you took every opportunity that came your way. And I think that where you are today is obviously due to all those experiences. But yeah, I mean, you really have to put it in. You can't, and especially these days, if you can't write a song, it kind of doesn't matter how good of a guitar player you are. And if you can't work around the studio and know how your sound is to be, brought to the people, so to speak, then that's a problem too, because then you end up trusting somebody else to get your sound out there. So there's a lot to what you've had to do to get to where you are, and to be in control of your artistry as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and my dad told me that in the beginning. He's like, you got to learn how to record yourself. And you really do. I want you to go and sit. Well, he knew how to record. I mean, the first record we made, he actually recorded it on a Tascam. We had a DAT. He bounced into DAT and then reel to reel, all that kind of stuff. And then he showed me how to use the Roland 2480, the digital workstation thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working that for my record, Violet Journey, which I did. And that's what got me the record deal with Interscope, Jimmy Iovine. But yeah, I played the drums myself. I played bass. I, recorded the vocals. I learned how to set the preamp, set everything, just, how to mic a guitar, how to mic an acoustic guitar, how to, there's a lot of stuff, and what mics to use, as well on different things. And then I went to a studio called Fat Tracks in Adelaide, Australia, and I went and sat with the engineers there and learned how to, sort of mic things and work things. But I'm terrible at like Pro Tools right now, so I kind of use Logic with GarageBand. It's a funny situation set up, but I love the analog sound. There's nothing like it. And this whole streaming thing with the waveforms and how everything's compressed these days is so, I don't know, it's upsetting sometimes, because when you sit in the room with the vinyl record, right, there's nothing like it. And it's like the realness and there's such beauty in that, and how music was received, back then. And now it's more available, readily available to everybody around the world, which is incredible too. So there's a thing. But with Pro Tools, I sometimes feel that it's like being in like CVS lighting. You know what I mean? It's like everything you can see.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, but with analog, there's such warmth, and there's like it's a nice, I don't know, it's a nice filter on it in a way, but it just kind of, it's very honest, and it feels, I like to bounce drums to the vocals sometimes. I think it adds something.
Well, I'd never criticize, any way somebody wants to get their music down, whatever you're using, it's fine. But it is weird that, the digital revolution did kind of bring us to the point where I know there's complaints from artists where they'll just see their engineers looking at waveforms and not even really listening to what the artist is playing. I think, well, we got to fix this here, and it's like, it's not a waveform; it's somebody's heart that's coming out there. You know?
Oh, absolutely, and that's the thing. It's like when you see everything in front of you, I just like, it's weird. It really is, but that's why I like to, when I get into the studio and actually record things for real, I like to have like an engineer. And that way I'm not even looking at it. I'm just like putting it down. And what I'm hearing, I'm going, okay, this is all right. I can live with this for now. And I'm like that with records. Like, I'm never completely 100% happy, because I could do it until the cows come home. But then it would just take years and years for me to be completely satisfied. So there's a stopping point, and there's a thing where you go, okay, I captured the vibe. I captured that vibe, and I captured how I want people to feel it, opposed to it being completely perfect.
Have you ever done a song or an album where you just used only analog equipment and then transferred it to digital when you did the final cut?
Actually, a lot of the stuff on Heaven in This Hell at Blackbird, we did reel-to-reel. Yeah, vocals, everything were bounced to that, and it just sounds like when you hear the song Heaven in This Hell or How Do You Sleep, all of that was bounced reel-to-reel. So
I know you mentioned Santana and Abraxas, which is one of my favorite records. When I first moved here to California, I was Uber driving to get to know LA. I figured that would be a good way to, meet people and get to know the city and everything. And I picked up this kid who's probably like 18 years old or something like that. And he was a musician, and he was, letting me listen to all these different rappers and different, popular songs of his generation. And I'm like, brother, why don't you let me put a little something on there for you? So I put on Abraxas, and we listened to the whole record. It was a long trip. We listened to the whole Abraxas record, and it was like his mind was blown. I mean, it was just like, he was like, wow, I never knew there was music this good. And I was like, yeah, bro.
That's just a simple thing. It's like some kids don't even hear that stuff, and then they hear it and they're like, their minds are like blown. It's like taking some kind of hallucinogenic drug. They're opening up, right side of your brain, going, like, there's more to life. There's more to, and it really is. I mean, those records are so inspired, and so that's why they're going to stay around forever. They're going to be around forever because, I always go back to when I'm running on my treadmill, whatever I'm doing, I'm going back to like Band of Gypsies. I'm going, to the old Cream records. I'm going to, Santana records for sure, or Freddie King, all that, because there's just something about it. And it just kind of clears the slate too for me. Because if I listen to top 100 stuff, I'm just like, oh God, it's like, not to say there are some very talented artists out there and they're wonderful, but when things start sounding the same, and it's just like, I don't even know. I just like, you feel like your head is just like, you feel stupid. I don't know. It's weird, right? It's like fast food.
Do you have any aspirations to chart like on, Billboard Top 100 or like get a pop single out there anymore? Is it, I mean, you had some pretty good commercial success with a lot of your tracks.
Yeah, actually, I would like to collaborate with some artists and do it that way, actually. And that would be really cool. But I think for right now, for my own thing, I'm just kind of going with what I want to really put out there, and I'm not chasing everything. And my want is not to make a pop record right now. Like this record that I just made, it's alternative, but there's some elements of pop. I'm not going to say it's not commercial, because it is, but it's not like I'm going for top 100. I didn't bring in, the beats. I didn't use the auto tune. I didn't, you know what I mean? There's a certain structure to those songs that it's very, evident. But apparent, but it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe, I'll experiment with it later. But beats and guitars, I mean, it's a cool thing. It's like when you get it right, and I was really happy to hear that Aussie song that Andrew Watt did recently. I thought that was pretty cool. With a good guitar solo in that one, and
I don't think I heard that one.
it's with
That's not the one with Post Malone, is it?
Post Malone, and yeah.
Oh, that is Post Malone. Yeah, I did hear that.
And
yeah, that's a cool song.
On that. So I was happy because I actually just turned it on and the solo came on, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a guitar solo on pop radio. This is great. So
yeah, that's a rarity these days for sure.
I know. So so I text Andrew. I was like, that's wild. It's freaking awesome, dude. So.
Well, I wanted to give everyone a chance to ask Ori a question. So this would be a good time in the comments. If you have a question for Ori, go ahead and start dropping them in the comments on Facebook, or you can tweet at the live stream, and the questions will show up here also on YouTube. But I was going to give Mike another question here.
Well,
I put him on the spot. No.
Yeah. No. I just think from the new record you're putting out now. I mean, it is awesome to kind of name check, the past and all that, and where you're coming forward, because everything you've talked about in the interview is just kind of coming to. It seems like it's broiled up in this new album, where it's almost like it's 1969, and that's how you're approaching it in a way.
Yeah, absolutely, and that we kind of it's such a hippie vibe with me and Marty, because we're both hippies, we're both rock and roll hippies, and we just went in there. We're like, yeah, man, let's just do this. Let's just get in there and grab our guitars and write it and record it and put it down, not overthink it, just go on the vibe and just really get into it and make it sound the way that there's not too many people involved with this situation. My management came in, they would come in and sit at the end of the day and sort of, or even during the day, sometimes I'm putting stuff down, and they'd be digging it, you know what I mean? And some of my friends, like, it's funny because we did it in Nashville, so like Chuck Garrett, who plays bass for Alice Cooper, my brother, and his wife, Lindsay, came in, that just people would just drop in and would play stuff for them, and they're like, oh, we dig this. So I was just getting, friends around and having that vibe and kind of seeing if people were having it too, not coming in and going, oh my God, that's crazy. So just kind of going off like how people sort of, received it after we put it down. So, yeah.
But the other thing is that, a lot of the records that we love from the 60s, that there's a lot of boo-boos that become just amazing because that's the personality of the artist. So when you get into your hippie mode with Matt, is there ever a point where you go, maybe we should tune that up a bit, or maybe I didn't quite phrase that the way I wanted it, or do you just let it go with the inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time, if something just feels good but it's not perfect, you go with what feels good, right?
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, and I think you're going to hear that a lot, especially like, as I said, some of the songs, like one in particular I'm really proud of it is Sinner's Hymn, because it's like dark and it's edgy and it's cool, and you're going to hear like, even like, I'm not going to name all the songs on the record yet because I can't, but yeah, there's definitely, there's some cool vibes in a lot of them, and it's got that Hendrix thing to it where, the thing I love about Hendrix so much, and I had a great experience with being able to sit with Eddie Kramer, and he played me some unreleased Hendrix stuff, and he was always searching, with his solos, and it was so colorful, and he took you on a journey, and it was like, it wasn't perfect, but he was just like, it was so amazing, and my mind was blown because it just sounded so cool, and sometimes he was playing the most, like weirdest notes and stuff, then bend it into tune, and then he didn't give a crap, he didn't give a shit, he just put the colors out there, and the colors flew everywhere, and everybody loves that, and that's what I get inspired about. It's like when you can get into that realm, and he was in that realm, and he was just like an alien that came down and left us, but with some magic. But it's kind of like when people can do that, that's just a beautiful thing. It's like Bowie, it's like, all those, greats like Prince as well, so.
And you actually had quite a bit of interaction with Prince in your career. I know, today's the day that he passed, right? Is that today?
absolutely. Yeah. Prince, I met in 2007. He called me. He got my number. I don't know how, but he got my number. And it was just after the Super Bowl performance that he did, which was amazing. And he was like, I've been watching YouTube videos. I'm flying down from Vegas. This is Prince. And I was like, no, it's not. Because I thought it was my friends, like, just joking.
Right.
I gave him shit first. I was like, what? And I thought it was my buddy. And I was like, are you kidding me? He goes, no, it's actually really Prince. I'm flying down tomorrow from Las Vegas. I'm bringing Sheila E with me, and we're going to jam. Booking out the record plant, be there at like 8 p.m. I was like, all right. Awesome.
No pressure, right?
Yeah. And so I go down there, and Sheila's playing drums. He's playing bass, and he wanted me to play guitar. So we jammed for 4 hours, and somebody filmed it, actually. I'm trying to get that. But it was a wild, amazing time. And he was just a cool person and inspiring. It's like, you play one of your ideas, I play one of mine. And that's we went back and forth. And it was like 4 hours worth of stuff. And then he gave me an idea actually for a song title. And then I actually wrote the rest of that song with Robbie Krieger recently for a movie. So everyone will hear that very soon. Robbie's a dear friend of mine, legend. But just getting that inspiration from Prince. And then we spent the next like 3 or 4 days like just hanging out and, with his friends, which were like Terrence Howard, the Cruz, and just come out to a jazz club, and it's like literally it's like all these people around, and then come to where did he play? Roosevelt, that's right, Roosevelt. 4 a.m. He put on a show in the lobby, and Terrence Howard was a doorman. He was letting people in, and then we had Sasha Baron Cohen as like the waiter, and it's like,
oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
There was some crazy stuff going on. I was like, okay, this is wild. He goes, you should bring your guitar, and I'm like, I didn't bring my guitar. He didn't ask me to bring my guitar. I didn't want to be presumptuous and think that, I'm jamming, so it was kind of, and then he would call me randomly, over the years, and it would be from a private number. And the last time I heard from Prince, I was running on the treadmill, and I had like this unknown number come up, and I thought it was my parents. So, answered it. It's like, hey, this is Prince. What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm running. He goes, okay, cool. So what do you got going on the next few weeks? I want to come round. And I was like, well, I'm just hanging, I was with my ex-partner at the time, and we're out and, just outside of LA. And he's like, do you have a table tennis set? And I'm like, no, I don't. He goes, well, and I was like, I guess. He goes, because I want to, me against you guys, and I'm going to win. I'm like, okay, great. Great. And then it was like this really funny thing. He goes, I'm starting this show with Oprah, and I want you on the Oprah show. I'm like, okay, amazing, absolutely. So he actually passed a month after that.
Oh man.
So yeah, and my friends knew him very dearly, very very close with him too, and and it was, but I don't know. It's a force of nature. He was relentless. He just recorded 24/7. I mean, he was just Paisley Park, and hearing stories about how he was, and even being with him and knowing what a perfectionist he was and everything. And our interactions were always just very funny because it was just so random. He was like the most mysterious friend, buddy, like that you could have. Like he would just call probably about 2 or 3 times a year from an unknown number to see what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And but what a talent, right?
Yeah.
Great stories. Awesome.
Well, we do have a couple questions here. One of them is, hang on, I think it's Jen from Twitter. Hang on one second. Jaybird32 Taki from Twitter. She says, Orianthi, have you considered doing a virtual concert with the social distancing being in the way?
Yes, I was just talking about that yesterday with a good friend of mine. I'm actually going to be putting one on, I think, the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned. I will announce it. And it'll be coming probably from my living room. I just got to get a better audio situation set up so it sounds good for you all, because the iPhone's not going to cut it the way it is. So I may get some, I heard some Zoom or something like that sounds good. You just plug it in at the bottom, and it's a good thing. So I may just plug into my amplifier, electric guitar, microphone, and just play. Because Keith Urban did it recently too, and that sounded really good. Maybe some backing tracks or something like that I could get going. And
well, we have a guest meetup on Sundays, and we had about 10 show guests former show guest Mike in Zoom, and we were all talking about audio setups. So if you need some info, I'll pass it to your assistant.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah, because we're trying to figure this out right now to make it sound a little better. Because I did one the other day. It actually sounded better, and I had to record the audio, plug in, and then it sort of, the latency was a little bit weird, but it was, trying to figure it all out.
It seems like the more that you can get in the actual track, and then you just have to blend the track and the sound, the guitar or the vocals. Because if you have to blend it all live, the compression gets all wonky and stuff. It's kind of hard to predict.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
But yeah, and it's kind of a challenge, today's world, trying to figure out technology as an artist and it's not just playing the instrument anymore,
No, it's setting everything up. So, I'm a little bit stressful because I don't want it to be shitty. So if people are going to pay to watch me perform out of my living room or this Lotus room, I want it to sound good at least.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what year are those Strats and Telly on the couch or CS reissues? Okay, so Tyler Morris wants to know about your guitars.
Okay.
The Strats and the Telly on the couch. What do you got over there?
All right. Well, this one here, I believe.
Oh my gosh. That's
1972. I got it. I don't know. No. I gotta check it out. It's one terrible. But I got a 1963 Telly in the other room, which I love. And I bought that actually in Japan, and in an alleyway, kind of after a show. It was in a store. It wasn't just down an alleyway. And so and it just sounds really sus.
I've got a 63 Telly for you, ma'am.
Yeah, just come down.
Yeah, that sounds like there's more to the story there.
Got some beauty to it, some shit. But no, this guitar I really dig. I use that one quite a bit. And then this is one of my favorite PRSs. Actually, most of my guitars are in Nashville in storage right now. But this is one of my favorite PRS. It's a 24 custom, just gold top, and I freaking love it. With my wondrous straps, which are available now, which I designed. They're completely ridiculous.
Oh wow, those are cool.
It's turquoise with leopard print, and it's just energy. I'm putting a lot of stones for different things.
And you can buy those. Where can you buy those at?
Carlino Guitars actually make these. They make them for Paul Stanley. They make them for a ton of people, and we collaborated on 2 or 3 different designs. So they're available, and actually 10% of the proceeds go towards cancer research. So I lost a lot of family members to cancer. So they're really well made, and they're great, and I just love them because they're out there. And I'm all about stones. I'm all about energy, and so we've incorporated a lot of those in the different designs, which you can read about on their website. And then I have a ton of other guitars around here. I have a Jeff Beck kind of Strat. I have actually that bass right there was given to me by, you can see the cat food too, because the cat was in here, so it's terrible. This bass was actually given to me by Green Day, which is a funny story. I love the Green Day, awesome. They just sent it to me, and it sounds amazing. I use it a lot. I have a Godin over there. I have this Strat over here. Hold on, I'm just gonna grab it.
Yeah.
Without everything falling down. There we go. Alrighty. So this Strat here has got like the Jeff Beck thing. I love it. It's amazing. And this is actually a gift from a friend of mine, Bob Rock. And and so I use this one quite a bit actually. And then I also have, I'm gonna show some of the guitars I got going on here. All of them, but this is my Santana model.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful Makina Blue. This one here I actually used when I played the Kennedy honors, when I honored Carlos with Sheila E. and Steve Winwood, and we played Everybody's Everything. And it was a very special evening, and it's a very special guitar, and I love this one very much. So I use it a lot. And I also have over here my green custom 22 PRS, which I use a lot.
Oh yeah.
And this one here, I've had this one for about 12 years. I use it a lot. And yeah, it's a 22, so it sounds a little fatter than a 24s, and it's kind of got a bluesier tone to it.
How do those PRSs hold up over the road?
They're great. I mean, my tech keeps them in check and everything. This is my Les Paul.
Nice green there.
And I got this one in Ireland after.
Oh, I like the peace signs on the knobs. That's cool.
Yeah, this is a really wild one. I actually picked it up at a store after I played a show opening for Bag Company in Ireland, and it was, yeah, it's a great sounding Les Paul. It needs some work though, because it's got an E-tune thing. I get rid of that going on. And then this is a new edition PRS, which has got an intergalactic kind of finish to it. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, it's pretty wild. And then I have a ton of other stuff in the other room. Actually, I've got my J200 and Guild 12 strings, and they're all in the other room. But I'm coming out with a brand new signature J200 Gibson. I went down to the factory and designed it with them, and I'm so freaking excited. I'm so honored that they asked me to do this. But I've modified the J200, which is wild because it's such an iconic guitar, and they allowed my crazy ass to be a part of this. So, you know,
what were some of the things you did that were your design choices for that?
Well, I changed the neck on it completely.
Okay.
I can't say what neck.
Wow, they let you change the neck on that guitar? That's crazy.
I changed it to an electric neck. So I went to Gibson and I picked an electric neck. The playability of it is, I mean, you've still got the full sound of it, right? And then I worked with LR Bags, and we came up with this incredible pickup for it as well, which really is basically a rock and roll acoustic guitar. For a lead player, I wanted something that when you're playing those shows by yourself, if you're playing a corporate event or you're playing whatever you're doing, you've got everything in that guitar so you don't sound shitty. The sound man could be high, and you're still going to sound good. You know what I mean? You can plug straight into the PA, and you've got the EQ, you've got the compressor, you've got everything in the guitar. So I just approved the final inlays a couple of days ago for it, and I can tell you that it's red and it's amazing. And honestly, I've been using Gibson acoustics for a while. I was with them 2009, and I went to Martin, and I went to Taylor, and I went back to Gibson because they approached me to do a signature. And I got to tell you, this guitar, going up to Montana and going through all the different models. I mean, you've got the you've got the songwriters, you've got the parlors and all that kind of stuff. But the J200, Elvis was the reason why I wanted to play strum, acoustic guitar and play it initially. So I just thought to myself, even though it's huge on me, it's like it freaking sounds so good when you strum it, just an E chord on that thing.
Mm-hmm.
The way it just fills a room.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Is that the one that you posted on Instagram yesterday? Was that a J200? That was a J200, right?
Red one?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's based off that color because it was funny. I was going to go white with it, and I was like, I don't know. The white's probably going to be, and white's kind of hard, in production too when you do them. But red has always been a really good color and good luck color for me. And with the PRS, the 2 SEs that sold out, they did with them a while ago. That was, it's like, I don't know, it just kind of felt right. It just looks incredible, and it's going to sound incredible. And I'm so freaking excited because I hope people really enjoy this guitar as much as, I do, already, just creating it with the team, so.
Well, my last name's Gibson. I wonder if they would just let me have one.
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck.
I'm gonna call them. I'm gonna try that pitch. So, well, we're getting to the top of the hour here. Actually, we're a little bit over, but the conversation was going so good, and the pets are out. Where's Scarlett? You said the cat was gonna make an appearance.
Yeah, she's probably sleeping.
Cats never obey you when you want them to
They don't. No. It's adorable. Is it
Mike's dogs will just jump right in front of the camera. They like being on camera.
I love it. That's awesome.
Now here comes the other one.
Well,
hi, girls.
Well, let me get give everybody a kind of a around the horn here. So we'll start with Michael. Last words today, Mike.
Well, just thanks for being available to do this, Orianthi. I think it's, I really appreciate you reaching out into the community through this and, giving us the benefit of your wisdom and all that. I mean, we need to stick together, all of us. And it's amazing you're doing so many amazing things, both with your music. It blows my mind that you got to mess around with the J200. Kind of says something about Gibsons in the new era too, that they're willing to let artists, mess around with their secret sauce, so to speak, and evolve more. And I think that, I think evolve is probably a good word for this pandemic. We're all going to have to evolve as creators and to be able to see what come out on the other side. And thank you just for sharing so much of yourself. It was an awesome interview. Thank you.
Oh no, thank you guys for having me. Seriously, thank you so much. And as you said, like, we've all got to stick together, as human beings, not only, as artists, as musicians, as people all in this industry, and just, to be together, work together, and see what we can do for each other. And that's where it's at. That's where it's at. We're all in this. So.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Well, to close it all out, I wanted to thank you, Ori, for being on the show. Of course, you're welcome back anytime. This was a great. Thank you so much for showing off all your fancy toys back there. I kind of envy now.
That was quite a fashion show. Thanks for that.
I did want to ask you about the Champ. What year is the Champ you had?
Oh,
is it a vintage one or a newer one?
Yeah, it's a vintage one. It's a 90. I don't know. It's an old one.
I had a
year. I'm terrible. So
I had a 68 Champ that I got at a garage sale for $25, and I think I spent $700 restoring it, which is kind of the value of it. But I just wanted my friend to do it, and I took it to actually David is listening. When I was in the military, I took it to a jam practice with a bunch of military guys, and it wasn't loud enough to get over the drum set, so I put a board on the back of it to give it a little extra punch, and I just melted the whole transformer in a giant blob. So don't ever do that.
But I've been told that they sound better when they're just about to blow up.
It was sounding good. I felt it. It was great. And then the smoke started coming out of that sucker, and it was just a horrifying experience. But it was kind of funny and sad at the same time. But
I've blown up some amps. I have. But actually, the last amp I blew up was a Hughes and Kettner. I know what happened. I think it had to do with the wattage. It scared the hell out of me. I thought that it was going to explode. The glass was going to might run for cover.
You're a good guitar player if you've blown up an amp, though. That's definitely a requirement. Mike, have you blown up any amps?
Are you kidding? Look how old I am. Of course I've blown them up.
On purpose? Now, you were in punk rock, so
most of the amps I had back when I was a little boy were made to blow up. You could
crank them. It's fun if you don't.
But that was half the fun. Matter of fact, my first Champ, I couldn't get it to sound like the records I was listening to, so I actually did the Link Ray thing and put a pencil through it, so it sounded all distorted and everything. And of course, got in trouble with my parents for why did I wreck the amp? But growing up as a musician, right?
Right. So you're chasing different sounds. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nothing wrong.
I wish you were there when my mom wanted to kill me. That would have helped.
Hey, you know what? It's like you got to experiment. That's what it's all about, and keeping things intact sometimes is not the way.
Well, again, thank you, Ori, for showing up today and being a part of Kingdom of Rock. And I wanted to thank all the listeners out there today. Thank you for listening. Be sure to share this interview with your friends and tell them all about it. And Ori, one last question: where can people reach you?
They can reach. I'm very active on my Instagram, so I am Orianthi on Instagram. Look for the blue approval mark. What do you call it? Official marking. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, the check mark. Verified.
There's like 5 or 6. I was saying before, 5 or 6 different pages have just come out recently. They're claiming to be me and asking for money and other things. I have no idea. And having conversations, deep and meaningful conversations with people. I don't do that through DMs. So it's not me. Don't. So make sure you're looking for the blue markings. I'm on there, and announcements of my tunes coming out and all that kind of stuff will be on there soon. And different things I'm doing, actually guitar lessons and different things. I might be doing some of those pretty soon, actually, and teaming up with Music Cares. So donating some of those funds towards that too. So yeah, there's many different things that are going to be coming out. So just follow me on those official platforms. It'll be good.
Awesome. Thank you again.
Kingdom of Rock out. Everybody have a great day. Go ahead, Ori. What are you gonna say?
I just want to thank you guys so much. It's lovely to see
You're welcome.
Thank you
It's
so much.
delightful. Thank you.
And you too. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Take care.
See you later.